Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, what can I say? I guess it's another video to add to the saga here. I've been slowly putting together this series over the last couple of years, meant to counteract the narrative that Donald Trump and the Trump family, or I guess nowadays you could call it the Trump organization, the idea that they're evil, terrible people, this generic left-wing view that anybody rich, anybody who made money, any real estate mogul or real estate empire family, those are bad people who should not be trusted. No, of course, trust the politicians instead. That tends to be the argument. They have put so much work into dehumanizing Trump. He and his ilk, his family, his friends are just the worst people, the worst of the worst. In fact, they're so bad that they pose a threat to American democracy, a threat to the nation. But why is it that there's so many people who sing the Trump family's praise? Why is it that there's so many people who seem to sing a completely different tune? That's the continued topic of conversation here. We've got another viral clip with somebody who clearly has intimate knowledge relating to who the Trumps actually are as a family. I gotta show you guys this incredible, powerful moment. But before we get into any of it, this video is actually brought to you guys by a sponsor, so let's play that clip.
This video is brought to you guys by Ground News. Friends, you know I don't like taking too many sponsorship deals, but this is one that I have no issue with, because this is a company that not only I approve of, but it's a product that I'm signed up for and I actively use. Ground News is the greatest news aggregator on the internet. If I'm trying to keep up to date with what's going on, if I'm waking up in the morning with videos to record, if I need to jump into the topics, then Ground News is one of my go-to places. And my favorite feature happens to be the blind spot tool. All you do is scroll up to the website and click this button right over here. Ground News's innovative blind spot feature highlights all the stories that the mainstream media left is trying to ignore. Here's an example of how the tool works. We've got an article here that shows that 2 migrants have died trying to cross the English Channel in a small boat, so obviously highlighting the devastating costs of leftist open border policies, but as you can see, that essentially only right-wing sources are covering the story. I guess the left doesn't want to know about the death and destruction that their policies sow. It's simply a great website, folks. I wouldn't say that if I didn't believe it. I personally endorse and use Ground News, and if you guys want to join, here's the good news. Thanks to this amazing partnership, you guys, Liberal Hive Mind viewers, can take advantage of this special offer and get 40% off the Vantage Plan subscription at Ground News by clicking the link down below in the description. And yep, you heard me right, that's 40% off their Vantage Plan subscription. So what are you waiting for? Click the link so you can stay informed on all the topics Brian Stelter doesn't want you to do your own research on. A huge thank you to Ground News. Now back to the video.
Okay folks, so without further ado, here's the clip that's taking X by storm. As I'm recording this video, it's been up for less than 24 hours and already getting more than 4.1 million views. Take a look at this.
I have an amazing story to tell you real quick about what President Trump's father, Fred Trump, did for myself, for my brother, for my sister, for my mother. 1974, my dad suffered a major heart attack. I went to the same school as Donald Trump, the Q Forest School. 3 days after my father's burial, there was a knock on the door one school morning, 7 a.m. I answered the door. It's a distinguished gentleman. I was 10 years old. My father just died. The gentleman said, "Kid, call your mom." I called my mom from upstairs. She came down. Gentleman said to my mom, "I am Fred Trump, Donald's father." And my mom says, "Yes, I know Donald went to the Q Forest School." And Mr. Fred Trump said to my mom, "Yes, Mrs. Rem, very sorry about Joseph's death. And what you don't know is I'm still on the board of trustees at the Q Forest School. And this morning, I let Headmaster Mr. Philip Rogers know that from this day forward, myself, Fred Trump, out of my own pocket, is going to pay for your 3 children's tuition because I don't want the kids have to go back into the public school system." And the tuition in 1974 was $2,500 per child, $7,500, which is about $80,000, $100,000 in today's money. And who would do that except the President Trump's father? The fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, and they give the Trump family grief. The Trump family is a wonderful family, the entire family, sorry. And who else? Can you picture Joseph Biden or Kamala Harris doing that? No. All they care about is buying another mansion. I'm going to tell you, the Trump family is wonderful. I love you, Donald. I wish I could shake your hand. It was my mother's last dying wish to shake your hand and to thank your father, Fred Trump, for what he did for us kids in 1974 in Forest Hills, New York. I love you, President.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much for sharing that with.
You know, it's exactly what I keep saying. There are so many people who Trump personally or the Trump family have touched in a positive manner. There are so many people who are willing to sing the praise of this family, and it's really no surprise why. Because they have a storied history of frankly putting New York City on their backs, being there for their community when needed, and not just their direct community, but their city at large. The Trump family has always received praise. And that right there is the point that we always get to in these videos. Might be a little bit repetitive, but it's important. It's important for people to understand the implication within the world of politics. You know, because Trump was apparently a good, generous guy who came from a good, generous family, but then the moment he ran for politics, everything changed. And really, that's what I struggle with the most. It's the clear, dishonest, partisan nature of it all. That's why I sound like a crazy person who seems to be yelling in the abyss here. I'm seeing the left-wing narrative, and then there's reality. There's all kinds of stories that have been suppressed over the years. But if you look hard enough, you'll find them. I found this one from 2008. Ed McMahon averts foreclosure. Donald Trump is to buy his house. Facing foreclosure on his Beverly Hills, California home after an incident left him unable to work, entertainer Ed McMahon has finally found a purchaser. It is Donald Trump, reports the Los Angeles Times. The mega developer will buy the home for an undisclosed amount. The listing price was about $7 million 2 years ago and was cut to $4.6 million in the last report. The transaction will allow the 85-year-old former sidekick to late-night television talk show host Johnny Carson to continue to live in his home as a tenant along with his wife. I don't know the man, but I grew up watching him on TV, Trump tells the newspaper. When I was at the Wharton School of Business, I'd watch him every night. How could this happen? So essentially, someone that Donald Trump didn't even know, just somebody that he watched while going to school as a youngster, fell on some hard times, and Donald Trump stepped up to help him. And there are so many stories of this happening. Donald Trump just watching a TV segment, seeing a sad story that connects with him, and him just sending over a check of $10,000 a lot of the times, totally privately, not being done as theater for some TV show or TV segment, but just Trump genuinely wanting to help those people. There are countless stories of this, and it goes, I think, right back to the story in the clip that I played earlier, related to his father, Fred Trump. You know, the apple doesn't seem to fall too far from the tree. It's very obvious that the Trump family is a good family, and we've seen that not only in their personal dealings and personal lives, but also in their political lives. You know, I know the left goes on and on about Donald Trump, this evil orange man, but if you actually look at the track record of the Trump administration in the first 4 years, they did a lot of good. I mean, let's look at what Ivanka Trump did, for instance, while working in her father's administration. The media will tell you, oh, it's nepotism. They're just trying to enrich themselves. But Ivanka Trump didn't work to enrich herself. She worked fighting against human trafficking, and some amazing progress was made at the time. That was their track record. That's what they were trying to do. They lost money to get elected. The Trump family used their own funds in their campaign and literally became poorer after being elected to office. Donald Trump then donated his presidential salary every year, and they worked diligently to get actual good things done to fight for victims. I mean, look what they did on prison reform, for instance. Yet we're told that Donald Trump's a racist. We're told that they're bad people. It's a complete farce, and the one example every time is the Central Park 5 story. It's the only thing I ever hear from Democrats in their confirmation that he's a racist, even though he's got all kinds of black friends, going all the way back to the 1980s and probably even the 1970s. I mean, he's got real personal relationships that have lasted decades with people from all kinds of different race and cultures, but no, he's a racist because of the whole Central Park 5 story. I mean, give me a break. Makes no sense, especially if you understand the context. In 1989, 5 young men of color were wrongfully convicted for the assault and RAPE of a jogger in Central Park. And Trump famously took out full-page ads in the New York City newspapers calling for the death penalty in this case. Years later, after the men were exonerated by DNA evidence and another man confessed to the crime, the case became a symbol of racial injustice. Trump has never apologized for his stance, which remains a point of criticism against him. However, the case is complex as it occurred during a time of heightened crime and tensions in New York City. So basically, you had these guys who were wrongfully convicted, but at the time, it was thought that they had actually committed the act, and in a time where New York City was in such turmoil, that Trump did probably something that he shouldn't have done, or something that he thought was right at the time, but he just had the wrong characters, or the wrong suspects, as the target, let's call it. A mistake. Mistaken identity. But now Trump is somehow racist for that. Why? Because he refuses to apologize. He refuses to bend the knee and ask the woke mob for forgiveness. Give me a frickin' break. It's obvious why Trump doesn't want to apologize for this. Because he knows that's going to be used against him if he says anything. They're going to say, see, Donald Trump confirms that he's a racist and he acted with racial prejudice relating to the Central Park 5 story. You know, it's obvious. Or in other words, they've got nothing. They endlessly attack and slander and trash this man. But the reality, again, the track record tells a whole different story. The Trump family is not a force for evil. They're not some evil Gotham empire. On the outside, they seem to be a good family that's happened to be tremendously successful, and that's pretty much it. The story should end there. All the demonization and dehumanization coming from the left is nothing but partisan nonsense, completely detached from reality, at least based on my observations over the years. And yet again, another viral clip that seems to add on to the mountain of evidence. And so, yep, that's pretty much it. The saga continues. Donald Trump isn't that bad. Certainly not as bad as the media paints him to be. And that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.